Hey everybody, welcome to G4G on YouTube. Today we're here in Marvel Strike Force, and we're going to do a quick little two-part video. Today's background soundtrack is brought to you by the Crystal song Forest Ambiance from Wrath of the Lich King in World of Warcraft. One of my favorite tracks in the history of the game. It's just nice, soothing, kind of reminds me of Macalania Woods from Final Fantasy X. So, let's go ahead and deal with the quickest thing first, in that there is a new offer on the table in the game. So the older May ones are gone. And I know that they're gone, not that they were purchased, because I didn't purchase the Black Panther one. I only purchased the one that had the purple abilities. The Black Panther one was universally panned throughout the community. There were several people that were like, well, you know what? I got it. I don't regret it. I like it. I have the character now. But as a lot of people pointed out, logically, I mean, $50 is the price of a regular game, and you're essentially spending that within a mobile game and only getting a character that not only are you just getting a 3-star character, but you're unable to do anything kind of once you get him. And there's sort of a way of looking at it. It's like getting a very, very nice car that you can't put the fuel in. You can drive it around, you can get some time with it, but eventually something's going to happen to the car that renders it unusable. And that's what people felt about Black Panther. Sure, you got him. Sure, he was 3 stars. But unlike other people, say Gamora, you really couldn't do with him. You couldn't do anything further with him. Now we have Nightnurse on the table. She comes in at 50 shards, 100 raid energy refills, and 50k gold for 35 bucks. So that's basically 1.5 shards per dollar. Not even 2 shards per dollar on this one. Again, the gold is a throwaway. 50k I think is an absolute pittance. 100 rain energy refills is actually pretty solid, but of course the meat of it is 50 shards of Nightnurse for $35. I consider that the 99.98% of what that $35 is for, and the rest of it is worth like a penny. It's not a bad offer. It's not the greatest. I think it's expensive for what you're getting, but at least unlike the Black Panther one, she's farmable. And if you already have her, 50 shards could, like in my case, ding her up to a 3rd star tier. Now, I've had Nightnurse for some time. I was building her up on the side to take over the spot of the shield medic, aka the female version of the character that gets kicked out of the dropship in the commercial, and Drax laughs and says he should not have gone first. Yeah, so quick little comparison. Shield medic has a gun that starts off doing damage, has a chance to apply a fence down on a turn, and on a crit it applies a slow for 2 turns. Nightnurse has something similar, except for it is just dealing the slow. A little bit more damage, but it's only doing the slow, and the next rank for me applies the slow for 2 turns. You know, that's pretty good when she's not doing something else. It could essentially give you that moment where you kill Crossbones before he gets his explosion off if something really weird happened to your team, like Black Widow put a stun on somebody that you really need to kill Crossbones before he goes all Allahu Akbar on your ass. So that's one comment. That's one comparison between the two. She gets first aid, which is available right at the beginning of the fight. It heals the lowest health ally for a huge chunk. For me, it heals at about 5k. Whereas she gets emergency treatment, which is healing the entire team, and a 20% chance to revive one ally at 10% health. that revive is pretty solid. It's occasionally come up and done stuff. I wouldn't say it's game breaking. Night Nurse then does urgent care, which takes a couple rounds to come up. She heals the entire team for health, and she applies a regen. Shield Medic just has Fighting Fit, which is a passive, which is a 10% chance to apply 1 turn of regeneration to an ally with the lowest health and heal them. And then if you bump it up another level, it goes up to 20%. So she has 2 abilities and then goes into her passive, whereas Night Nurse is an actual character. And if you're not familiar with her, she actually shows up in the Iron Fist show, and I do believe one other, maybe Luke, well, she comes into Defenders. I can't remember if she's in more than just Iron Fist. I was like, oh, I didn't actually know that that was Night Nurse until after I had encountered this game. Overall, clearly Night Nurse is better because she is a named character rather than a minion, which gives her 4 slots. Now, in terms of the value of the offer, not only is she available in pretty much any orb, but she has 2 farm slots. And her 2 farm slots are really good because one of them is a villain and one of them is a hero. Now, she's pretty deep in. If you're like me that's been playing for a while, you have access to her, and you have solid access to her. If you are a newer player that is looking for a solid healer for your raids, I would say the offer means a little bit more to you because it gets you off the ground with her, and unlike the Black Panther one, you can actually begin to farm her. When you do get to a level in which she's unlocked for you, she's good because she counts for 2 out of your multitude of dailies. She could be used for 3 heroes in a day. She can also be used for 3 villains in a day. That's 2 dailies right off the bat. Another decent thing is that one of her missions gives the health catalyst, which is used by quite a lot of players. And combat tactics, while not being that good, it's actually useful for her. So she is a farmable character, and one of the rules of thumbs in mobile games like this is that you tend not to spend money on farmable characters because essentially you're spending money on your time. These characters are either available to you through time and grinding or shortcutting through money, aka not free to play, aka whale. Personally, I think the price is obviously better than Black Panther, but you're getting a little bit less for the price. I think if you don't have Night Nurse, but you've been eyeing her for a while and want a easy way to unlock her before you actually can, do it. I think if you are about ready to ding her up to another level simply with the purchase, kind of like me, where I can take her up a star level over there with the purchase, I think it's worth it. The rest of the offer I think is completely inconsequential. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about on this video is something that's been on my mind for a little bit, and that is I wish they could make Marvel Strike Force a little bit more like Marvel Avengers Alliance. And there are 2 things that stand out to me for this, and I wanted to discuss them with you and see what you guys think. Right here on the screen, basically Black Widow is going to deal with 2 of the things that I've been thinking of that this game could use. So Black Widow has a stun on Widow's Bite. She also has a stealth on camouflage tech. We know that the way stealth is represented in this game is that they become untargetable by single target attacks, although they can still be hit with AoE. And a stun is exactly what you would expect a stun to be. We've seen it 1,000 times before. The issue that I have, and I think Marvel Avengers Alliance implemented it better, is that how can you protect or taunt when you are stunned? This game handles taunt removal by doing buff removal, but a stun should effectively negate a taunt or negate tanking. Here's why. Say Luke Cage has gone ahead and put his taunt out, and Black Widow, well, let's not use Black Widow, because there's another thing I want to talk about with that. Let's say anybody else on the team, or on the roster, that has a stun, attacks Luke Cage, and then stuns him. And then the next person goes, let's say it's Daredevil, and Daredevil uses his basic attack. Well, unfortunately, he still has to deal with the fact that Luke is taunting. But Luke is stunned. If you apply this to reality, how can somebody sit there and say, hey, over here, pay attention to me, when you're stunned? Marvel Avengers Alliance handle that by saying that if a taunter is stunned, they have no ability to taunt. They have no ability to tank or draw attention, which obviously makes a ton of logical sense. So I would prefer the game handle it that way. Now, you could sit there and say, hey, you know, we have enough things that get us around taunts when we do Arena and Blitz. Do we really need another one? To me, this one just sounds like it's logical and relatively fair. And it allows you to more properly prep for the PvP components of this. It means you don't quite always have to shoehorn in these super common buff remover people just to get past, like, the Drax Crossbones or the Crossbones Luke Cage combos you see out there. Or, if you're running into beta players, the Captain America Crossbones combos that you see out there. Of course, Drax is super good, because Drax can be kitted out to taunt right from the beginning, potentially being a little bit more of a wall for Crossbones, but with the AI not having any variance, you know that Drax would simply taunt again in the first round, and Crossbones would taunt. So, the other thing that I have an issue with in the game is, again, actually Black Widow represents 3 of the things that I have an issue with. So we talked about the stun. The other thing that I want to talk about is stealth. Stealth in previous games kind of allowed a character to have free reign in the battlefield and do what they want. They were off the table for most single target attacks, and when they attacked, they could get through to who they wanted to. If you take a power team that I had used in PvP in Marvel Avengers Alliance on 2 very different occasions, it was X-Force Psylocke and X-Force Archangel. Psylocke made her and other X-Force people stealthy, and Angel added Fatal Blow to people's level 9 ability, if I remember correctly. So, anybody teamed up with X-Force Psylocke benefited greatly because they were potentially stealthy when they had never been in the past, and Phantom X, of course, benefited from it the most originally before they changed him, because he was a tactician, and if he had to go against infiltrators, he was really, really screwed, because a key ability for him was AoE. So when you were stealthy, unless you were dealing with somebody who could see stealth like Heimdall, you could do what you want. If there was somebody taunting or tanking or anything like that, stealthy people just walked around it. They were also not countered. They were not detected. So I would like to see them implement stealth like that in this game, that say Crossbones is taunting and it's Black Widow's turn and she's done her camouflage tech. I don't believe that she is forced into attacking Crossbones because he's taunting. How does he know what he's taunting or what he's trying to get the attention of if the person's stealthy? I think they should release stealthy people from taunts. It just seems more fair. You know, if you think of any game where there's a guard in a watchtower and they're looking out over a field or something, if you're stealthy, you're getting by the guard. They're not going to see you unless you do something stupid like step on a landmine or hit a tripwire or something, but just for sight purposes, you're getting by the guard. So why is stealth not handled this way in this game? Stealth is more defense. It really offers no offensive benefits, with the exception of people who sometimes gain an attack up when they stealth, like Elektra. Black Widow and Elektra, when they go stealth, among others, should be able to walk around taunters, and that also, that the one bad thing about it, and you know, I'm always honest about when I think something is a good idea but then potentially has a bad side, and that's going to be the hand sentry. The hand sentry, by making everybody stealthy except himself, his power level, which is already high, would go astronomically high in value. He would probably become one of the single most important characters in the game, let alone as a minion, if he could make an entire team stealthy and they could all walk around taunters except himself. I do admit that. I think it screws his power up badly. He would have to take a nerf, honestly, if they made that change to stealth. Or, you know, hey, maybe make that change to stealth and see if anybody is, you know, bright enough to do something like that. So the final thing that I want to talk about, and this one kind of doesn't really have a comparison to Avengers Alliance, and that is buff removers. So let me know what you think about this. A buff remover attacks a person who is taunting, or attacks a person who has a counter. Okay, or even, well, the taunt, I know how it works, but a counter person. So say a stealthy Black Widow hits Daredevil after throwing out a throw baton and gaining a counter, or Crossbones after taunting and gaining a counter. If Black Widow does Sabotage, okay, which has a 50% chance to clear a positive effect, 70% chance to copy all positive effects on the primary target, 50% chance to clear each copy. So let's say this proc goes off and clears the positive effects. The taunt still happens. Or, excuse me, not the taunt, the counter still happens. Again, that seems almost a little unfair. If you it kind of comes down to like a Magic the Gathering stack order. What is the proper stack order in the game that you attack somebody which initiates a counter, but you have a buff remover which removes the counter? Clearly the stack order is attack, counter, procs, counter attack happens, buff is removed, counter stops happening and goes away. I think I have never seen a buff remover go off on a counter person and remove the counter and thereby negating the counter. Also, in the case of Black Widow, what about stealth? Think about every single movie that you've ever seen where somebody's stealth or invisible and they're hitting a person. The victim doesn't know what to do. Recently, I happened to see the first G.I. Joe movie. There is that part where Baroness is fighting Scarlet, and Scarlet puts on her stealth suit over there, and Baroness is getting her ass kicked for a few moments until she throws the paint, and then she sees where Scarlet is. You know what happens there. How, if you are stealthy and you attack somebody who can counter, how does the counter person know who to hit? because the stealth, if you watch the game, the stealth actually doesn't get removed until the counter goes off. So essentially he's countering a ghost and is able to hit the person. That's kind of another thing that I disagree with over there. Stealthy people in Marvel Avengers Alliance really had the run of the playing field. Unless Heimdall was there with his true sight, you know, they were able to do whatever they wanted. In this game, it's very defensive, but it doesn't really give you a whole lot of offensive benefits, and I think they could do that just a tiny bit better. Objectives reset. My objectives reset, but my... that's weird. Okay. I might have to leave the game and come back. I did my quests and everything before the turnover, but it hasn't reset them yet. I should be back at like square one for the day. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Am I trying to make stealth too powerful, or am I trying to make stealth balanced? Or do you feel that, yeah, you know, those Marvel Avengers Alliance ideas are kind of good for this game? To me, the stealthy ones we can certainly have a conversation about. I can see that going either way. But the one that I will fight for logically is, how is a stunned tank going to tank? If somebody's stunned, how can they effectively taunt or protect in this game? They're immobile. They're not thinking. They are passed out. They are knocked out by Rocky on the floor of the boxing ring. They're on the mat. What are they going to get up and do? A guy knocked out in a boxing match isn't going to go out in the stands and sell hot dogs. He's knocked out. So why is a tank able to taunt and be like, hey, over here, pay attention to me, if they're stunned? Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you think the stun tanking thing is pretty damn logical. The stealthy thing, yeah, I do admit that can go a few different ways. There's opinions on that one, but stunned taunting doesn't seem to fit in my brain. Thanks a lot, guys. Catch you later. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give a sub if you haven't already. Give a like if you like the content, and I definitely do plan to do more MSF content in the future. There will be an MAA video coming soon, as Goofy has done some more work, and I do have a topic that I want to deal with in an upcoming MAA video, along with Goofy's new video. So I will see you guys later.